Hi everybody, here we are at lesson 3, and for the students, you're going to set them up again in a semicircle, standing in front of you. So we're not sitting yet, but they're not going to be playing that long, so it's not going to be too bad. And besides that, they need to play the violin standing, right? It helps them with their posture. And so they're all going to be standing in a semicircle out here in front of you, and you are here in front of the whiteboard and in front of your keyboard, so you're all set up that way. And what have they been practicing so far? Or this week, they've been practicing Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? So what have they been practicing? That seems like a really simple little thing, but they're practicing technique. They're practicing their bow hands, they're practicing their playing position, they're practicing their elbow levels as they cross the string, so you can check them out with that. They're refining their bow strokes so that they're playing with short bows in the middle. And they're also, and today they're going to be learning how to play together with a beat. So, and by now they've been practicing it, so they should be able to play it from memory, so you can test them out to say, how many of you can play this? Well, let's try playing this with our eyes closed. And so, set up your beat. It looks like, here's 90 again, which is pretty good speed. But if you need to adjust it, feel free. If it needs to go a little faster, a little slower, whatever's the easiest for your kids, all right? So they are going to be playing this, and I would probably play with them what they're playing. So I'd play the D's and the A's so that they can follow you in case they're a little bit lost still. So here we go. Mary had for me, for them, not me. It's policeman's white and snow. All right, and don't be surprised if they have trouble crossing that string and they want to do another down bow. Some of them it won't be a big problem for, but others it will be. So it's kind of a challenge to cross the string and then go up with the bow stroke. But that's stuff that you can sort out in your private lesson. Don't make a big deal out of it in the group class, no. But you can help them to change bow directions when you're working with them in their private lesson. So technically that's what they're working on. So now I'm going to do the duet. So now we're going to, you can do the duet, you can play the violin, the melody on the violin with them, or you can do it at the keyboard. So this is what I usually do. So here we go. Here's our beat, and then I'm just going to play. They're playing their part, right? And so on. So I'm at the keyboard and see if they can pull all that off and still play it with the duet. And then I'm going to ask them, so we just started on D, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the reason we start on D is because that's singing range, right? And so we don't want it to be too high or too low. That's the starting place, because for that reason. But I'm going to ask them, say, do you think that we could play Mary on other strings? Of course. So you're going to do it on the A and the E string, and you're going to do it on the G and the D string, and get used to knowing where the arm is hanging for each of the open strings, and see if they can figure out how those string crossings are going to work. And then I'm going to ask them, how many of you think that you could sing the words of Mary Had a Little Lamb and play your duet part at the same time? So we're going to do this all together, so if they can't do it, that's fine, but as a group we're going to give that a try and see if they can do it. And then I'll just say, how did you do? Can anybody do that? That's something that you could practice at home if you want to, because that actually is a pretty good test of musicianship, being able to do two things at once. So moving on to the next activity, I'm going to ask them this question. How many of you have ever heard of the song Skip to My Lou? And I'll probably start here. I'm going to be in G-Do. It's a little bit high, but that's how I'm going to have them start playing it. So I'm going to sing it. Well, there are a lot of different words that you can sing this song to, but you might have heard something like this. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Skip to my Lou, my darling. How many times did I sing Lost My Partner, What'll I Do? And I'm going to say, okay, yeah, you did it 3 times. And then what happened? Then there was kind of an ending at the end of it, right? Okay. Well, since there are a lot of different words that you can put to this song, we're going to choose some that, well, how about something that has to do with playing the violin? What if I sang them, I play violin, do you? I play violin, do you? I play violin, do you? How would I write that? So we're going to come up here and we're just going to, I've got the heartbeats on the board. You see that? You know what that stands for, right? Beat. But instead of writing our rhythm inside of the hearts, I'm going to just write them below the heart. So you tell me if I am singing like this, I play violin, how many sounds is that on each beat? So they're going to tell me they're taws. And so they're going to discover that these words are all taws. And then what happens at the end? I play violin, do you? Empty beat. So what do we have to put there? Right. And then I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do it 3 times, right? Because in this song, that first phrase, and you know what? If you want to put note heads on here, you can. Or if you want to do stem notation, you can do that too. It's kind of a long bar line. Whoa. Let's shorten that up a little bit. Just to kind of group these, I think you don't need to explain a lot about the bar lines yet. That we'll get to that, but it helps to organize the beats, right? And we're going to do it 3 times. And then for the ending, these are the words we're going to use. Lou, 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 my darling. Okay, so how would I write that? Here's the ending. Here's the beats. Lou, 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 my soul. Some more taws, right? We got some more taws right there. Lou, 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 my rest, ling, rest. So there's a song. Here's repeat. So now what you're going to play, we're going to kind of do what we did with Mary. We're going to play these on some strings, but this time we're not going to do it on the D. We're going to do it on G. So we're going to chant. So, let's see. I'll just finish that bar. Just you can do that. Like I say, you can do what you want to, but you should be consistent probably. Okay, so we're going to do G, 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 G. Then when we come to this line, we're going to do D, back to G, and then when we come down to, so these are all G's. You can do this if you want to, or just tell them. And then the ending is going to be D, 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 then back to, here's the string crossing to G, and this will be the most challenging part for them. Okay, and I don't think they need to pluck this at first. Besides that, they've got their bows in their hands, and you don't really want them to put their bow on the floor unless you want to pizzicato. So we're going to do the very same thing. Now we've discovered that the rhythm is all taws and taw rests, and I've written the string names under the notes, so they should be good to go. And let's just try that. And I'm going to play what they play at first so that they're not confused, right? So they're going to go. So we're up on high elbow on the G string, and since they've done Mary, they're going to be able to understand this and just pull this off right away. Then they're going to cross over here. Short bow strokes in the middle. But you know what? I also would probably set up my beat before I did that, just so that keeps everybody together, so they really are feeling that while they're going. Okay. So you play what they need to play, and then you can say, well, now you see if you can still follow along while I play the tune. So since I sang that in G do, this is gonna make sense, and it's all gonna sound good. 2, ready, and. Something's weird on my keyboard. Time for a new keyboard. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, so they were able to do that, and then I will say, who can do that with your eyes closed? Just have them all close their eyes, and if they can do it, then they know that they've got that one memorized, right? we're going to be using Skip to My Lou for making their own variations. So we want to make sure that they can do that from memory. They don't have to look at anything. They just got that in their heads. They know where those string crossings happen. And I can guarantee you that the hardest part for them is going to be that last line when we have that string crossing right here. So you probably have to work at that private lesson so they get their downs and their ups all sorted out, and then they can play it clean. So are we always, as string players, we're always talking about clean string crossings? Well, here it is. Here it starts. A clean string crossing with the elbow working properly. So that's our Skip to My Lou. So we're done with that. Let's erase. That's our Skip to My Lou foundation for further work coming up. Then I'm going to ask him, okay, so who knows what song goes with this rhythm? You can just put this up on the board here. I've got some magnets. And most of them will recognize that as My, me, oh my, how I love my cherry pie, right? And so they're going to guess that songs, and then we're just going to play the rhythm, and we're just going to think of the words. All right, so let's choose an open string that we could play my, me, oh my. And we're just going to play the whole song, just the words, right? My, and we're still going to use short tas and smooth T's. So if we want to play on the A string, it's going to be my, me. So, for getting a good sound, we're going to start. This is a good starting place for good bow technique. Short strokes for the tas, but with a faster notes. For the TTs, for the eighth notes, we're going to play those smooth. So you'll have to work on that so they get the distinction between the short tas and smooth TTs. So, and I might have everybody play in the group, just depends on what I think I want to do. I'm going to have everybody play the same song on the A string. And then we'll choose, maybe we'll have, what string should we play it on next? Let's do it on another one. And then we're going to do the very same thing with this rhythm. So what is this one? What song is this? Boys and girls. We got Cobbler Mend My Shoe. We can do the same thing with that. And then what's this one? Old Mother Witch. So they know the songs in their head, so they could play the words of those songs and learn how to play on each of the four strings with good technique. And I might say, I want to bring out an opportunity for solos. So we're going to always start out as a group together in group class. And then I'm going to feature and say, who thinks that they could play this by themselves? And usually the brave souls will raise their hand and they'll give that a try. And so this opportunity, whenever you feel like, especially you are looking at a student and they're doing it really well, and you can spotlight them. You don't have to give everybody a turn, but just those who have the courage at first, so that they will feel good about their performance in front of the other kids. All right, so those are rhythm patterns: short tas, smooth TTs, refining technique, good posture, elbow level, all that stuff. So now it's time to pack up. We're done with our violin playing for this lesson, and now we're on to the singing part of our lesson plan. So all the violins have been put in their cases, the kids are coming back, and we're going to start out our singing part with a game called Frog in the Middle. It's going to be a very important game for future learning of literacy. So anyway, we're going to put an insert here of some children playing this, and you'll notice in your lesson plan that there's about 3 possible games, that you could play, and if you don't like any of those, you could make up your own. Let's put that on there. But we'll try to demonstrate some of those with this little video clip. Little higher, jump, jump, like that. Okay, ready, go. Frog in the middle, frog in the sea, frog in the middle, can't catch me. You got it. Okay. Jenny, we're not going to have everybody getting a turn on this one. We're just going to do it a few, because I'm going to show another game too. Okay, you ready? Okay, here's Jenny. Ready, go. Frog in the middle, frog in the sea, frog in the middle, can't catch me. You're going to catch. Okay, it would be Donovan. All right, that is game number 1. And we'll get better at being able to talk. You got to be good. So we have to do this kind of slow. So we're going to go frog in the middle. Oh, okay. I got it. Okay, ready, and frog in the meadow.
Are we just going with it?
Yeah. Frog in the sea. Frog in the meadow. Can't catch me. It's all it now. It is. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so you can see we're getting better at the singing and the catching, aren't we? Okay. So after the kids are finished playing Frog in the Middle, you're going to have them come and sit on the floor in front of you again. And the next part is going to be our Soul-Me preparation, preparing those elements of Soul-Me, the very first melodic elements. And so the kids know of Cherry Pie, Old Mother Witch, right here. And so they'll kind of recognize, so we'll start out with Cherry Pie. You're going to recognize the tas and titis since the cherries actually resemble notes. And they'll get this right away. My, me, oh my, how I love my cherry pie. And then I'll have the children sing that. But they'll say, are some of the notes higher or lower than other ones? And they're right. Okay, so they're going to figure out that some of the notes are higher. I should have sung that a little bit higher myself, the whole song. Sorry. My, that's a little bit better. Anyway, so have them sing that, and then, so can you tell which ones are high and which ones are low? And so I'll have one of the children who wants to volunteer to come up here and move the magnetic icons here down to a high and a low position, and see if they can get it. I'm going to see if they're going to think about it and see which ones are high and which ones are low. So they'll drag the low ones down like so. This is what the result is that we want. Whoops. Oh my. Oh, we're good. Oh, I love my cherry pie. So now they're in a relative position, highs and lows. And congratulate them for getting that right. And so I'm going to say, well, boys and girls, I'm going to teach you some new words for the high and low. Well, let's have everybody sing first of all. So everybody will sing the highs and lows. But I will try not to sing with them. I can indicate it, but I want them to be able to dictate with their own voices which ones are high and which ones are low. So the new words for high and low now are so and me. And there's some hand signs that go with those. So here's a hand sign for so, and here's a hand sign for me. So I'll just have them put the so, maybe I'll use my left hand since most of them will be right-handed. So it's like a wall here, and here's the me, which is like a floor. So, me, so, me, so, me. I'll demonstrate that, and then I'll have them copy me. We'll do it together. All right, so they are learning now. They have just learned that the high and low notes are so and me. And then we're going to do the very same thing with Old Mother Witch. So when we do Old Mother Witch fell in the ditch, picked up a penny and thought she was rich. You can see rhythmically I put two witches together for the TTs. And you know what? You don't have to have, maybe you'll find something simpler, maybe like a die cut of a witch's hat or something that represents that doesn't take up so much space. But this is what I had, and it works. And so now we're going to do the very same thing, and you're going to find out that when they do Old Mother Witch, they have to think about what this one is, because guess what? It's not going to alternate like Cherry Pie did. They got to think about it. It'll cause them some concentration here, and they might make a mistake. And then the class will say, oh, well, no, that's going to be a high one. Fell in a ditch. So we're going to make all the witches be highs and lows. Picked up a penny and thought she was... Gotta move this one a little bit. Oh yeah, this one doesn't slide. It's not on a magnet. Rich. Okay, so once we get the high, and we'll sing it in highs and lows. Then we'll sing with the so, me, so, me, so, and so on. So here we have now our very first introduction to So Me. And so we just did Old Mother Witch, and they haven't written that song yet in their beat books. And then we'll give them their beat books and a pencil, and they can write Old Mother Witch in there. And they will need, of course, to have one of the fold-outs that's 16 beats in order to do that. And now, let's see, we can probably, well, I'll just leave that there for right now. I don't think you need to take it down. But, so if you have a class of younger kids, like 6, 7-year-olds, you feel like it's just appropriate, I'm going to give you 2 ways to work to come up with a skip to my Lou variations. For the younger kids, you can use this very lovely Sing a Storybook here. This is by Nadine Bernard Westcott. Looks like this. Okay. So it's for the younger kids. And so what it is, you're going to sing the story. So you're going to sing the melody and just show them the pictures. So it's more age appropriate for younger kids. So here it is. Sitting on the front porch, painted like new. The farm's all in order. There's not much to do. So there's this little boy, and he's kind of bored. But then this is what happens. Take care of the farm. We'll be back by 2. Skip to my Lou, my darling. So this little boy has just been put in charge of the farm. So kind of risky, right? Flies in the sugar bowl, shoo, fly, shoo. So you kind of take your time so they can enjoy what's happening to the farm while the parents are away. Cats in the buttermilk, 2 by 2. Pigs in the parlor, what'll I do? Skip to my Lou, my darling. So you go through here, and there's different animals with that are doing things in the farm. So you've got roosters in the pantry, you've got flies in the sugar bowl, you've got pigs in the parlor, and so on. And so what I'm going to ask the children is, so could we sing the Skip to My Lou song that we know with animal words that are in the story? So yeah, so if we took roosters in the pantry, what would we do? Roosters in the pantry, cock-a-doodle-doo. Then we do it 3 times, right? Just like we did before when we were playing it. Skip to my Lou. Roosters in the pantry, cock-a-doodle-doo. Roosters in the pantry, cock-a-doodle-doo. Skip to my Lou, my darling. So they know that we do the verse 3 times, and then it has an ending at the end. So we're going to sing those songs using those animal variations of various types, and that's going to be a good preparation for what we're going to be playing next in our class. Now, and I'm also going to tell them, you know what, when we put different rhythms, when we put different words to the tune, we call that a variation, okay, because a variation means it's kind of the same, but a little bit different. Now, if this is not age appropriate, which I certainly wouldn't do this with my 8 and 9-year-olds probably, or 10, okay, but so there's a little bit better cognitive way to come up with variations. So I'll just ask them, so can you think of some other words that we might use to sing Skip to My Lou? So the only ones that we've done so far is I play violin, do you, right? But I can give them an example like, flies in the buttermilk, shoo, fly, shoo. Flies in the buttermilk, so then I have them sing that with me, okay? Shoo, fly, shoo, they'll get it, they'll just copy me and sing with me. Flies in the buttermilk, shoo, fly, shoo, and then here's the ending. Skip to my Lou, my darling. That's always going to be the ending now. And then I would ask them, so how would I write the rhythm to these words? So I guess you would have to have this down off of here. So how would so I'd have them tap that in my head. So flies in the, what was it? Flies in the sugar bowl. Flies in the sugar bowl, shoo, fly, shoo. Okay, and then they're going to help me get this on the board, right? Flies in the sugar bowl, shoo, fly, shoo. You see how that's different from what did I play violin, do you, right? Okay, and then I could write that down. Then how would I write the ending of that? Skip to my Lou, my dar, rest, link, like that. So that's always going to be the ending, right? So after we've done that a bit, then I'm going to have the children brainstorm together. Maybe they'll say, okay, who has an idea of what are some other words that we could use? And we'll just not everybody has to respond right now, but those who want to, or maybe they'll come up with the class with some more words, right? And then what I'm going to do after we brainstorm them, so the kids get an idea of what's happening here, I'm going to give them each a 3x5 card and a pencil, and each one of them, we're going to take time out, each one of them is going to come up with their own words. I tell them they can have something to do with a holiday coming up, or it could be with something they'd like to do, or that ghosts are scary, boo, boo, boo. I mean, that could be anything. But then they have to figure, they're going to write the words on the 3x5 card, and then they're going to write the rhythm of those words in Tals and Titis on the bottom of the card. And I'm going to go around, everybody's working on their own, in a circle, and if I'm going to kind of come around and see if anybody needs some help being able to write the rhythm of their words. And then at the end of the class, I'm going to gather these up so that I will be able to use them in our next violin lesson, in our next violin class. So then we will talk about the fact that those are a variation. Each one of those sets of words is a variation of the original song, the original tune. And that is the end. So that after the kids group class, they're going to be having their private lessons, right? And so on page 6, you're going to recognize some of these same rhythms. See that? Rhythms of songs that they know, like Old Mother Witch and so on. So this page, for their practicing, is just being able to play not just the rhythms, but just play that whole song that they know. Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. And be able to play it on all strings, so that you're going to be able to help them with their technique, with their elbow levels for the strings, and also their sound. I want them to be really, really sound conscious on what is a good sound, what isn't, And so I'm going to talk about gravity, I'm going to talk about bow hand, all that stuff. There's one rhythm on here that we haven't covered yet. It's the ti-ti-ta, which is going to be coming up in our next group class, and that's This Old Man, right? So, in case you're wondering what that is, here's this one, Ring Around the ti-ti-ti-ti-ta. So, Ring Around the Rosie, most American children know, but it's way too not, it's like baby. But I'll ask him, said, when you were really little, did you ever learn this song? Ring Around the Rosie? Yeah, okay, I'll bet you could play that, couldn't you? Because you already know that song, and of course they can do that. On page 7, now, here are the Skip to My Lou variations, and for either of the younger kids or the older kids, I will ask them. There's three variations right here. Like this first one here I'll ask them, can you tell which one of these is Roosters in the Pantry, Cock-a-doodle-doo? And they're going to look at this, and they're going to decide, okay, see what the rhythm is in their head, their inner hearing. They're going to determine which one of these is the right choice, sort of like a multiple choice question. And then, of course, it's this one, ti-ti-ti-ti-ta-ta, and then I'll have them play that, sort of like a little bit of a quiz. But ultimately, I'm going to have them play each one of these variations with repeating it 3 times, just like we did the first time, when we did Mazel, when we did I Play Violin, Do You. So the same string crossing pattern, and here's the ending, Skip to my Lou, my darling. So they're going to be able to play that same ending for each one of these variations. But you're going to notice that whether their kids are younger or older, there is a space right here where they are supposed to write their own variation in their book. So they're going to write that out, whatever rhythm that entails, so that it's in their book, not just on my 3x5 card, and they can practice that. And we'll probably, and then as we're coming up, everybody's going to play everybody's variations. So it'll be very cool.